Hi, welcome to this video. In the last sessions, you have already learned about the basics of SQL, basics of SQL. You know what are DDLs, DMLs, DQLs, and DCLs on a very high level. And in this particular video, after talking about the table basics, we will jump into DDLs, data definition language. So what are the different DDLs? I hope everybody knows about it. The different DDLs are create, alter, and drop a table. So we'll be talking about each one of them. Before getting into that, let's try to learn the table basics. A relational database system contains one or more objects called tables. The data or information for the database are stored in these tables. Tables are uniquely identified by their names and are comprised of columns and names. Column contains the column names, the data types, and any other attribute for the column. Rows contain the records or data for the columns. Here is a sample table called as employee. As you can see, my employee table has 4 columns: employee name, employee ID, manager name, and division. We will try to create this particular table. Let's get started with the DDLs. Before talking about creation of table, I'll quickly talk about how to create a database. Logically, data analyst or business analyst do not care about creating the databases. They are actually done by the DBA administrators. But just for practice, we will also be creating database, and in that database, we will be using some tables. So I have my SQL. Okay, MySQL is not there. Let me just open MySQL quickly. MySQL Workbench. I hope everybody has their own local instance. And here, this is my day ones. Let me just create a new one. And okay, intro SQL. I think in the last class, we were using the intro SQL. You can see I'm not going to create a new database for you, but this is how a database is created. So when you log in for the first time, you always have to, if you don't have a database, you create your database using create database table name, database name. And then once your database is created, let's say now my database is already created. So I'm not going to run this. Instead of that, I will just try to use the database. And in that database, we will see if we are able to create some tables and do some DDL activities. Okay, so how to use this particular database? Simple command, use database. That's it. Once you run this, that means this particular database is active. Now, if you want to see what all tables do we have in this particular database, you can simply type show tables. It will show you all the 3 tables which are present. In the last class, in the primary key and the foreign key class, we had created these tables, right? So in today's class, we will be creating new tables. So I will be creating this particular table, which is employee name, employee ID, manager, and division. So how to create a table? Create table name, which is employees. So this is case sensitive. You can give lowercase, uppercase, up to you. It's okay. You can see I have created with I and SQL as capitals, but I'm still able to use the lowercase, right? So this is completely okay in SQL. So I'll create employees. Now, of course, you can create in a single line as well, but you know, we all developers care about indentation and formatting and all those things. That is the reason, to have a better readability, I'm dividing the queries in a separate lines. So create table name, let's say employee name, employee ID, manager name, and division. Okay, simple. And then close the brackets. What are we missing in this query? The data types, because we have defined the column names, but we haven't defined the data types. So employee name and manager name are clearly string objects. Simple. Employee ID, you can keep it as a string, you can keep it as a integer as well, up to you. Division is definitely an integer value. So let me create it. So let's say I'll give varchar how many characters of employee name? Let's say 50. Employee ID, let's try to give integer. Manager name, again, I will copy paste this one. And division, again, integer. Do we have any primary key? Of course, we have primary key, which is employee ID. Now, how do we create primary keys? In the first class, I had already talked about primary keys and foreign keys. Now, this is how you create a primary key, right? And how do we create it? Just copy this code and then primary key. What is the primary key here? Employee ID. Simple. And I hope you remember the constraints. If you are defining a primary key, it should be not null. So it's always advisable to keep it as not null. Simple. Now my table is ready. See, without this code and without this code also, it will be able to create a table, but you can insert null values as well in the employee ID, which is not right logically. So we will be creating a primary key. So let me run this code. Done. My table is created. Now again, if I type in show tables, I'll be able to see my table. You can see I'm able to see my table. Select star from employees. My table is created. Simple. So how do we insert data? Of course, we can insert, but that's going to be covered in DMLs. In DDLs, as we are only concerned about creating, altering, and dropping a table. So I hope everybody understands about the creation of table. Let's go ahead with the creating tables. You can see the create table statement is used to create a new table. Here is the format of a simple create table statement. So create table, table name, you have to pass your column names, data types, column name, data types, column name, data types, simply. Format of create table if you are using the optional constraints, like we used here, not null. Similarly, if you are using some optional constraints, you have to define your constraints here, like employee ID, integer, not null, something like that. Note, you may have as many columns as you would like, and the constraints are optional, right? So this is one example of create table, as we have already created a table like this. So we are not going to use this example, but of course you can do it as well. So once you click on the next one, to create a new table, enter the following keywords: create table by followed by the table name. So create table, table name, open parenthesis, and then first column, then the data type, followed by the next columns, data type, next columns, data type, and then closing the brackets. Simple. It is important to make sure you use an open parenthesis before beginning the table and a closing parenthesis after the end of the last column definition. Make sure you separate each column definition with a comma, because if you don't put comma, then it will throw you an error, right? You can just try it out by yourself. All SQL statements or SQL statements should end with a semicolon. So it's always advisable to use a semicolon. I haven't used it, but I have selected this query and then run it. So in MySQL, it's okay if you're not using a semicolon, but if you're using other SQL queries, let's say Oracle SQL or Microsoft SQL, in that cases, semicolon is very much needed, right? So it's always a, best practice to use semicolons. The table and column names must start with a letter. That's the basics, and can be followed by numbers and letters or underscores, not to exceed a total of 30 characters in length. These are some of the best practices which we follow. Do not use any SQL reserved keywords as names for tables or columns, such as select, create, or insert. You cannot have a column name as select. It's not advisable. If you are having some column name which is something like select, just add something, select ID or something like that. You cannot use this keyword select, insert, update. You cannot use it as a parameter name or as a column name. Data types specify what the data type can be for that particular column. If a column called last name is to be used to hold names, then that particular column should be a varchar, which is a variable length character data type. So I hope everybody knows about data types. It's super simple. Let's say you want to add a date column, creation date. Then simply you have to pass date time. Simple. And if you pass it as varchar, then that means you can feed any format in this, right? It will not be treated as a date, it will be treated as a string. So all these are very basics. Here are the most common data types. I hope everybody knows about these things. Character, varchar, which is a variable length character string, number, date, and number size. So you can just try around all these particular concepts of data types and try to create multiple tables. And that's where you understand the things. So our first exercise is going to be this one. You have just started a new company. It is time to hire some employees. You will need to create a table that will contain the following information about your new employees, right? First name, last name, title, age, and salary. After you create the table, you should receive a small form on the screen with the appropriate column names. If you are missing any columns, you need to double check your SQL statement and recreate the table. Once it's created successfully, go to the insert lesson. So we have the insert lesson next in the next slides after today's class, after this particular class. So you can practice the insert part in the next class. Important when selecting a table name, it is important to select a unique name that no one else will be you able to use it. All these are simple best practices which we follow. For example, Tom Smith, who was born on November 2nd, would name his table my employees underscore TS0211. Use this convention for all the tables you create. So normally, why we have given this example is, of course, when you are practicing, it's only your database. You can name as per your wish. But just imagine when we work on multiple companies level databases. So most of the times when we are working on production, that means some databases which are actually used for production activities, in that databases, there could be multiple tables. There could be a table called as customer, could be a table called as recharge details, something like that. So when you are manipulating the table, or else when you are taking a copy of the table or recreating the table who is taking details from customer or recharge details, it is always recommended to use your name. Like let's say I normally use sat underscore 25 September, let's say today's date, something like that, so that I can remember these tables. Maybe tomorrow or day after tomorrow, I might have to again create the table just to have a comparison. So it will help me to understand that these are all my tables, right? And then you can simply type in which are all tables. Let's say you do show tables, and then you can easily find out which are your tables which we are created on that particular day. So these are some advanced topics, advanced concepts. We will be talking about the best practices as well. So let's get started with the table exercise. Please pause this video and try to create a statement for this particular example, and then you can play this video and see the solution to it. Just imagine there are no primary keys. It's a simple create table query. Okay. So let me show you how to create it. I hope you might have already created it. Create table. What should be the table name? Let's say EMP new. Okay. I like this. I'll write all the names, first name, last name, title, age, and salary. Simple. First name, what is it? It will be a variable character. Let's say I'll give it as 20. I'll copy paste this. Title, copy paste. Title could be Mr. Miss or something, right? So let's say we'll give a varchar of 5. Age will be integer and salary will be integer. Done. Once you are done, you can simply run this query and your table is created. You can check your table. Emp underscore new is already created. Okay. If you want to just check everything is created correctly or not. Just do a blank select query. Of course, there will be no records, but you will be able to see the columns. So this is all about the create table part, creation of table, which is one of the basic DDLs, data definition language. So our next topic is going to be alter. Now, when do we use alter? Let me tell you a scenario. Just imagine you have created a table, this one. Let's take this particular example. You have created a table and you miss out one information, which is employee ID, or else gender. Let's say you miss out gender. Oh, I have missed out gender. I have added first name, last name, title, age, salary, but I missed out gender. How can I add it? Well, the naive approach or the idiotic approach will be to drop that table and recreate it, but you don't have to do it. You don't have to drop and recreate it. Rather than that, you can do the entire thing in one query, which is called as alter. Alter, as simple as that, it's an English word. I hope everybody knows altering. That means changing, right? Most often we go for altering our t-shirts or pants when we buy some raw cloths of 2 meters, of 3 meters length. We go to shops to, cut our pants and all those things, right? That means altering. And this is all about altering in SQL. So alter table is used to alter a column. How do we use it? Alter table, table name, add column name, data type. So let's say I will alter this employee name. Okay. So what I do is alter table, table name. What is my table name? EMP new. And then I will give, let me do it in a separate line. Alter table, table name, add which column? Gender. What is the data type? Worker. Let's say I'll give it as 1. Okay, it's M or F, right? Male or female. And then close the bracket. Oh, bracket closing is not required. Then I run this code. You can see alter table has been successful. Now just to check, you can see gender is added. Very simple query to add a column. And just imagine you have altered a table. Let's say you have a column called as random. Just imagine we have random, and this is a mistake which has been done. By mistake, I'll just delete it. Okay, by mistake, your table has a column called as random, which makes no sense, and you want to delete that column. How do we do that? Simply, same particular query, I will just copy paste it, but the only change is that alter table, table name, add column, data type, drop column, column name. So I just have to change add to drop, and then column, gender. Not gender, we are dropping random. So here I don't want to define my data type. I don't care what the data type is. I'm just going to delete this particular column. If I do this, done. Okay, so my new table is ready. So this is how you manipulate your tables. When you have an extra column, you want to delete it or drop it, you can use alter. When you are missing out, let's say you have missed out adding a new column, or else you missed out a column in the create query, maybe you want to alter it, you want to add a column, you can use alter queries. This is again a DDL, data definition language. Okay. Now, again, you can take some exercises on this, practice by yourself, how to add columns, how to delete columns and all those things. And once you're done with the alter part, our next topic is going to be drop. Drop is again a DDL, data definition language. So dropping a table is very simple. The query itself, you can see on the right screen, drop table, table name. It's going to be super simple. Drop table command is used to delete a table and all rows in the table. To delete an entire table, including all of its rows, issue the drop table command followed by the table name. Drop table is different from deleting all the records. So deleting all the records is going to be cleaning all the records from that table, but the table will exist. Okay, just imagine you have your bank account, you are uh, taking out all your money. That means your bank account is still there, but your records are gone, your money is gone. That means deleting. Dropping means you are dropping your entire bank account from the bank itself. So dropping and deleting is way different than each other. Deletion is a manipulation language. That means we are manipulating the tables. We are manipulating the entries. We are manipulating the data. But dropping means we are entirely deleting the table. We are dropping the table. So that's a data definition language. Deleting all the records in the table leaves the table including column and constraint information. Dropping the table removes the table definition as well as all its rows. So how to use it? Very simple. Let me show you what all tables do we have. We have all these tables. Let's say I want to delete the EMP info, EMP underscore new. Delete as in I want to drop it. So drop table EMP new. Simple query. Drop table name. Run this and your table is gone. You can see your table is gone. And if you ask me, how can we drop databases? Exactly the same query. That's it. So let's say I don't want to drop my intro SQL. Let me create a new database, random new. Let's say I'm creating this database. Refreshing this, you can see random new is created, right? It does not have any tables, any views, because we have just created the database. How do we delete the database? Drop database random new. Done. And then you can see if I refresh it, my random new is gone. And if you want to see show databases, you will not be able to see random new. Okay. So this is all about your DDLs, data definition languages. So let me just save this so that you can reuse these queries for your future use. Bad. Done. So this is all about your different DDLs. In our next topic, we shall be talking about DMLs, which is even more interesting because that's where we start playing with data. And that's the main motto of data analysts, right? So everything is done. Data definition language is done. Next topic, we'll catch up for data manipulation language. Thank you.